They replaced me with their adopted son, so I destroyed their lives piece by piece. Everyone believed my adopted brother Ethan was a miracle. Perfect. Inspirational. The golden child. Me? I was just the shadow. They treated me like a burden, ignored me, blamed me. My crime? Being born first. But I didn't always know how deep the rot went. Not until much later. At first, it just felt like favoritism. Like they were trying harder with him. Maybe because he came from a rough past or because he needed more attention. I tried to be understanding. But when I started to notice the pattern, it felt less like they were lifting him up, and more like they were stepping on me to do it. I remember one Christmas where I asked for a sketchbook. I loved to draw. Always had. They got me socks and a generic plastic pen set. Ethan? He got a brand new iPad. Not just for school. With Procreate loaded and everything. When I questioned it, my dad scowled. Don't make this about you. Be happy for your brother. That was the phrase of my childhood. Don't make this about you. But when Ethan started using fake trauma for clout and scholarships, that phrase turned into a burning reminder. They weren't just neglecting me. They were enabling him, rewarding him, and I decided I wouldn't stay silent. This is the story of how I exposed him, shattered their perfect image, and made my entire family face the truth they'd buried for years. Part 1. Family Dynamics and Early Injustice. Growing up, you'd never guess I was the biological child. It was little things at first. At family dinners, they always asked Ethan about his day first. Listened intently. When I spoke, they were already reaching for the dishes or changing the subject. When Ethan had a nightmare, my mom would sleep on the floor of his room. I once had a panic attack before finals and was told to get over it and man up. Ethan was adopted at age 6. His past? Fuzzy details about being shuffled between relatives, maybe foster care. I never really knew. My parents never gave me the full story. But instead of integrating him into our family, they changed the whole script. Suddenly, Ethan was the centerpiece. The hero in a redemption arc. Everything he did was brave, dramatic, resilient. When I got a 4.0 GPA, barely a pat on the back. When Ethan passed a class he was failing, he got dinner out. One time he accidentally broke Mom's favorite vase. I got blamed. Swore it wasn't me. Mom didn't even check. Grounded me for a week. I started staying in my room more. Eating dinner fast in silence. Drawing. Listening. That's when I noticed something strange. Ethan lied. A lot. He'd fake stomach aches to skip tests. Tell stories about foster homes that didn't line up. Make up arguments that never happened. And Mom? She believed all of it. That's when I realized this wasn't about him being troubled. It was about them needing a narrative. So I started writing things down. Recording things on my old phone. I didn't even know why. It just felt necessary. Like one day I'd need to remember the truth. And I did. Over time, those little injustices became bolder. One night, Ethan took the car without asking and got into a minor accident. He was 15 and didn't even have a permit. Guess who took the blame? Me. Because I'd supposedly left the keys where he could find them. My parents screamed at me for an hour, grounded me for a month. Ethan got ice cream the next day because he must have been so scared. That was the moment it clicked. They weren't seeing clearly. They chose to believe in Ethan no matter what the facts were. They needed him to be a success story. And to do that, I had to be the villain in his origin story. So I stopped trying. I focused on school, on documenting, on watching. And the resentment? It grew quietly, like a fire waiting for the perfect spark. Part 2. Ethan the Fraud. By the time we hit high school, Ethan was a master manipulator. He knew exactly what to say to get sympathy, to twist stories, to guilt-trip our parents. It was like watching a magician perform. He'd craft entire narratives for school projects about his broken past. Teachers praised him for being so vulnerable. He won awards for essays about trauma he likely never experienced. I saw him one night laughing with his friends about how easy it was. People love a good sob story, he said. They eat that S*** up. My stomach turned. Meanwhile, I was busting my ass. AP classes. Extracurriculars. No recognition. My parents didn't come to a single art show. They didn't even hang my award-winning pieces at home. They barely acknowledged me unless I was doing something wrong. And Ethan? He started applying for scholarships. Dozens of them. Every single one was based on hardship. Abuse. Neglect. The kicker? He copied large portions of my college essay. The emotional parts. Twisted the context. I confronted him. He smirked. They believe what they want to believe, bro. You think Mom and Dad care about you? They love the version of me that hurts. That sentence stayed with me. Not just because it was cruel, but because it was true. My parents were addicted to being saviors. Ethan was their never-ending project. And I was just the inconvenient reminder that they hadn't actually earned the praise they craved. That week, I started digging deeper. Found his TikTok drafts where he pretended to cry. Found emails where he exaggerated his past to get into a mentorship program. He even told one organization that our dad was abusive. The man who bent over backwards to protect him. That's when I started recording everything. Phone calls, Zoom meetings, group chats, even videos of him laughing about duping people. But the biggest shock came when I stumbled upon something buried in Dad's filing cabinet. Part 3, Digging Deeper. The day I found that file in Dad's cabinet, everything changed. It was an adoption file, complete with records, social worker notes, and a psychological evaluation from before Ethan moved in with us. The notes shocked me. No history of abuse. No neglect. In fact, it said his aunt had cared for him well, but gave him up because he was a habitual liar and manipulator. And she couldn't manage his behavior anymore. She warned the agency. He has a tendency to exaggerate trauma and pit adults against one another. I reread that line a dozen times. This wasn't just my gut feeling. It was documented. They knew, and they adopted him anyway. Either my parents never read the file properly, or they ignored it. I took photos of every page. Now I had ammunition, real proof, but it still wasn't enough. Not to the world, not to my family. I needed to show everyone who Ethan really was, so I got strategic. At school, I befriended a few people in the AV club, told them I wanted help editing some footage for a personal project. Nothing big. They were into true crime editing styles and agreed. I slowly built a mini-doc style video, anonymous for now. Clips of Ethan lying, bragging, mocking, overlaid with screenshots of his scholarship applications, TikToks, and the adoption documents. All paired with dramatic music, of course. My goal wasn't to go viral yet. My goal was the first screening. Family dinner. Part 4. The dinner reveal. I waited for a quiet Sunday night. My parents were already annoyed with me because Ethan claimed I'd stolen his headphones earlier that week. I hadn't, of course, but I let it slide. I offered to set up movie night. Said I had a family surprise video. Told them it was something I was working on for a digital media scholarship. Everyone sat down. The screen lit up. It started soft. Footage of Ethan's TikToks. Inspirational music. Quotes from his scholarship essays. Mom looked proud. Then came the shift. People eat that trauma **** up, Ethan said, laughing in the video. Another cut showed him joking about copying my essay. Then a clip of him faking tears for TikTok. Screenshots of his fake backstory. I watched their faces twist. Confusion, horror, anger. Dad stood up. Turn this off. I didn't. Next came the adoption file pages. That damning psychological note. Then a clip of Ethan threatening to lie if I ever told anyone. When it ended, silence. Ethan stood frozen. Then exploded. You spied on me? You edited my private videos? I replied calmly. I told the truth. You just got used to hiding it. Mom cried. Dad yelled. Ethan stormed out. I left the video on a USB drive on the table and walked away. Part 5, The Fallout. The next few weeks were chaos. Ethan denied everything. Said it was all edited out of context. But the damage was done. His scholarships began pulling out. One called the house asking to verify his story. My dad tried to cover, but the questions kept coming. I uploaded the video anonymously to a Reddit thread. It blew up. Commenters dissected every lie. Within days, Ethan deleted his social media. The school launched an investigation. A teacher pulled me aside and asked if I was okay. Honestly, for the first time, I think I am. I told her. At home, things were icy. My parents tried to apologize. They blamed themselves for being too trusting, for not seeing the signs. But I didn't want an apology. I wanted accountability. Years of being invisible don't vanish because someone finally looks at you. I moved out after graduation. Got into my top school. Full scholarship. Ethan? He barely graduated. Lost most of his offers. My parents tried to reconnect. But I kept my distance. They only saw the truth when it screamed in their faces. Part 6. The Legacy. Years later, I still think about that house. About growing up in the shadows of someone else's narrative. I still wonder what might have happened if I stayed quiet. If I let them rewrite me into the villain of his story. But I didn't. And I tell this story now because there's always someone watching from the sidelines. Doubting their reality. Wondering if it's them who's wrong. If they're crazy. You're not. Ethan tried to build a legacy on lies. I built mine on truth. He messaged me once 2 years later. Pathetic apology. Said he needed to do it to survive. Said our parents made him feel like he had to be someone else. I didn't reply. I didn't need closure. Because I had something better. Clarity. And the quiet power of knowing I refused to let a fake hero win.